Hey everyone, let's get a brand new Angular application up and running from scratch. First, we need Node.js. Open your terminal and type node-v to check your version. If you get an error or nothing shows up, head over to nodejs.org and download the recommended installer for your OS. Once Node is ready, verify that Node Package Manager is installed by running npm versus got a version number. Perfect. Now let's install the Angular CLI globally, so we can use Angular commands anywhere. Run npm install -g at angular/CLI. This might take a few seconds. With the CLI installed, let's create our project. Type ngnew, followed by your application name. I'll call mine Angular 17 course. Hit enter and just press enter again to accept all the default configurations. The CLI is now generating your files and automatically installing all the required npm packages, so you don't need to run a separate install command later.
Once that finishes, navigate into your new project folder using cd and your app's name. Since our packages are already here, go ahead and launch the local development server by running npm start. Angular will compile your app and host it locally on port 4200. Open your browser, head to localhost 4200, and there it is, your live Angular application. Now that your app is running, let's pivot to something that will help you ace your next technical interview. When they ask, "What do I need to get started with Angular?" or "What are the prerequisites for installing Angular?" don't just rattle off a list. Break it down logically like this. To set up Angular, you need a few core foundational tools. First, you need Node.js, which acts as the asynchronous event-driven JavaScript runtime environment. Because we have Node, we automatically get npm, the Node Package Manager, installed with it. We use npm to manage all our project dependencies. Next, you need the Angular CLI, command line interface, which is the official tool used to initialize, develop, scaffold, and maintain Angular applications. And finally, you just need a solid code editor, with Visual Studio Code being the industry favorite for its rich extension ecosystem. Now, a great interviewer will usually follow up with, "Great, how do you verify everything is installed correctly before creating a project?" This is your chance to show you're practical and comfortable in the terminal. You should answer with confidence. You can easily verify the installation by opening your terminal or command prompt and running to simple verification commands. Node v, npm v. If those commands successfully return the version numbers, you know your environment is properly configured and you're good to go. Next up is a foundational question that always comes up. What is the Angular CLI? When an interviewer asks this, they aren't just looking for you to say it stands for Command Line Interface. They want to know if you understand its core responsibilities in the daily workflow of an Angular developer. Here is how to nail your response. The Angular CLI is the official command line interface tool provided by the Angular team. Essentially, it's a powerful build and automation tool that handles the entire life cycle of an application, saving developers from manually configuring complex build tools. We use it for 5 major tasks. Creating brand new Angular projects with a best practice folder structure. Generating individual building blocks like components, services, and modules seamlessly. Building and optimizing the application for deployment. Running a local development server so we can see our changes in real time. Executing unit and end-to-end tests to ensure code quality. An excellent follow-up or natural conclusion to your answer is showing them you know how to actually get it onto a machine. You can smoothly transition into the installation process. Because it's a global utility, we install it using npm by running a single command in our terminal. The G flag is crucial here because it installs the CLI globally, allowing us to use the ng command anywhere on our system to spin up new apps on the fly. Next, the interviewer will want to see if you know how to actually start a project from scratch. They'll ask, "How do you create a new Angular application?" This seems like a simple one-command answer, but you can use this question to show you understand what happens under the hood when that command runs. Here is how to nail it. To create a brand new Angular application, You use the Angular CLI by running the ngnew command followed by your project name. For example, ngnew_myapp. Running this single command triggers a powerful automation process. It doesn't just create an empty folder, it generates a complete, production-ready Angular project structure. It sets up your root modules and components, configures your TypeScript and build settings, initializes a local Git repository, and automatically runs npm install to download all the required dependencies so the app is ready to run immediately. Now, if you want to score bonus points, mention the interactive prompts that the CLI throws at you. It shows you've actually run this command in real life. When you run ngnew, the CLI will also walk you through a couple of interactive prompts. It will ask you if you want to enable features like Angular routing and which style sheet format you prefer, like standard CSS, SAS, or SCSS. This allows you to customize the architecture of your app right from the start. Now, let's say the interviewer wants to dig deeper. They might say, "You mentioned that ngnew creates a complete structure. Can you tell me exactly what happens under the hood when you run it?" This is where you separate yourself from developers who just memorize commands. You are going to list the 6 key automation steps the CLI takes. Here's your response. Break it down step by step to show you know exactly what is landing on your hard drive. Answer like this. When you run ngnew_myapp, the Angular CLI acts as an automated project architect. Instead of you manually configuring everything, it instantly executes 6 major tasks. First, it creates the physical project root folder named after your app. Second, it generates all the essential workspace configuration files like angular.jso, package.jso, and your TypeScript configurations. Third and fourth, it builds the actual core blueprint of your application by creating the root app component and the root app module so the app has a starting point. Fifth, it automatically runs an environment installation, usually npm install, to download all the required Node modules and dependencies. And finally, it initializes a local Git repository and creates a .gitignore file, making your project instantly ready for version control. To really seal the deal, connect this to how it saves you time in a real-world job. Add this quick concluding thought. Essentially, ngnew eliminates hours of boilerplate setup and ensures that every developer on a team starts with the exact same, industry-standard project foundation right out of the gate. Alright, here is where you can really show off your up-to-date knowledge. A sharp interviewer will ask, what happens when you run ngnew in modern Angular 17 or newer? If you give the old answer from a few years ago, they'll know you haven't built a fresh app recently. Angular completely changed the game by eliminating the old module boilerplate. Here is exactly how to compare the old way with the modern way to blow your interviewer away. When you run ngnew_myapp in Angular 17 and newer, the CLI automates a much lighter, modern project structure. The biggest shift from older versions is that Angular now defaults to a standalone architecture. Here is exactly what the CLI does now. It creates your project folder, configuration files, and initializes a Git repository just like before. It automatically runs your package installation, npm install, using the fast new white and S-build pipeline. It creates the root app component, but sets the standalone, true flag right inside the metadata. Crucially, it no longer creates an app.module.ts file. The entire concept of a root NgModule is omitted by default. Instead, it creates an app.config.ts file to handle global application providers like routing and change detection. To help you visualize this shift for the interview, remember this core structural change. An interviewer might challenge you and ask, what if my company still relies heavily on the older NgModule architecture? Are we stuck? This is your moment to show you know the CLI inside and out. Answer them with this. Not at all. While standalone is the modern default, the Angular CLI remains completely backward compatible. If a project specifically requires the older architecture, we can bypass the standalone default during creation by simply appending a flag. ngnew_myapp, standalone false. by explaining the removal of app.module.ts, introducing app.config.ts, mentioning the underlying speed boost from white, and dropping the standalone false flag. You show the interviewer you aren't just an Angular developer, you are a modern Angular developer. And that wraps up part 1 of our Angular interview breakdown. We've covered the baseline foundational groundwork, from setting up your local prerequisites and verifying Node, to mastering the basic ng commands and understanding how Angular 17 Plus defaults to a modern, module-free structure. But we are just scratching the surface. Knowing the basic setup command is great, but real interviewers will test your depth on how things actually connect and run under the hood. In part 2, we are staying on the operational side to complete your setup knowledge, and then cracking open the blueprints. We will dive straight into advanced installation nuances, like handling global versus local CLI versions and troubleshooting permissions, spinning up the application, the exact commands to run your development environment, core Angular architecture, a deep dive walkthrough of the generated file tree, exploring how the main files bootstrap, and how data fundamentally flows through a modern Angular app. Make sure you lock down these first few environment questions so they flow naturally. Once you're ready to master the installation depth and architecture, click over to the next video, and let's tackle part 2. See you there.